Hello there. What is going on, everyone? We have a surprise announcement from Atomic Mass Games that actually dropped Friday night, and this one didn't go out across all of their social media platforms like a lot of their announcements do. This one was restricted only to their Discord server, announcing its end. We're going to talk about this. I'll read you guys the announcement, and there's not too much to read into this, but we're going to read into it a little bit. I'll let you draw your own conclusions, though. I'm not going to say that the sky is falling or anything like that, because on this, basically, it could be a very small thing, but it could lead into some other things too. But again, I'll let you draw your own conclusions. We'll just talk about what we know, and then we'll get into conjecture later on. Basically, we're also going to do our latest giveaway winner for the $25 Amazon gift card. So if you're a subscriber and you leave a comment on this or one of my videos, that enters you to win the giveaways. We run these about every 2 weeks or so. We're going to be announcing the winner of the latest one at the end of this video, and then, of course, starting the next one right away. So if you guys are already subscribed, you're already halfway there. If you're not, click that subscribe button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about this whole situation. And then we'll go. And also, you can check out our other links, because if you're not on Discord, you wouldn't have even known this, or if you weren't in their Discord, some people didn't even know they had a Discord. They didn't advertise it very much. But we have a great Discord down in the description below, the Crabbok C5 Discord. And if you want to join that, you can keep the discussion going about all these games. We're also going to be opening up a link section where different community Discords can share their links. And so if if you've got like a local Discord at your communities and you want more people to kind of join your Discord or whatever, we want to kind of try to be like a hub where people can share their Discords as well, which I think is a useful thing. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into the meat of the announcement. So this was posted Friday from Atomic Mass Games. It says, after careful consideration, we have made the decision to close the Atomic Mass Games Discord server. This was not an easy choice, but ultimately, it is the best step for our team and our community. The server will officially close on Monday, June 30th at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So depending on when you're watching this, it may already be down. So I thought it was also important to, grab the statement, because it won't be there anymore once the Discord goes down, since this is the only place that they posted it. It says, it goes on to say, maintaining a space like this requires a significant resource and around-the-clock moderation. While we have always valued having a direct space for discussion, ensuring a safe, welcoming, and well-moderated environment at all times has become increasingly difficult to sustain. Given these factors, we believe our efforts are best focused on projects and initiatives that can better support the entire Atomic Mass Games community. We also recognize that fan communities thrive best when they have the freedom to shape their own conversation. While we have loved engaging with all of you here, we want to encourage players to create and participate in independent spaces where discussions can evolve organically. We truly appreciate everyone who has been a part of this server and shared their passion for our games. The Discord will remain open until Monday, June 30th at 7:59 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so feel free to wrap up conversations and connect with others before then. Thank you for being part of the Atomic Mass Games community, and we look forward to continuing the conversation in new and exciting ways. Best. So this is there's not a whole lot to this. It's not a massive Discord. It's not that active either. It was heavily moderated, in my opinion. That if you had any hot takes or spicy takes, or and there were usually a lot of those, like I think when everybody is just kind of happy ho hum, like, okay, the game is fine, then there's not much discussion. The discussion usually kind of sparks when there's something controversial or a surprise announcement or maybe a delay that people aren't happy about, and that's what kind of gets people going. People didn't often go to the Atomic Mass Games Discord, to say much outside of like certain like media outlets would post their once a week limit, or whatever, a link to their content or their podcast or the YouTube video or their blog or something like that once in a while. It really was kind of a dead Discord. From my opinion, when I would go there, again, a lot of Discords have a lot more activity than the AMG Discord did, and a big part of that is that I know, at least in the Armada community and X-Wing communities, people were trying to express their displeasure in very colorful ways, and were often and usually banned or had things removed very quickly. I've had some moderation stuff, but not too much, because I'm usually a little bit more careful about what I post on there. But I've been pretty passionate at times, especially when things have gotten crazy. There's stories about somebody reacted to a post with like an X-wing emoji or whatever, and like they banned everybody who liked and thumbed up and keep going like the X-wing emojis and stuff like that. And I don't know if there were permanent bans or temporary bans or what have you, but again, the moderation was very very strict over there. And I imagine there's reasons for that. I can only really imagine that they're licensing based. Again, I know that Lucasfilm has a lot of very, very specific things and criteria that have to be met to maintain a Star Wars license and things like that. And so I would imagine that a lot of that moderation was in part due to the fact that they are running licensed games, and they have only licensed games, which is a very interesting thing. Now, I do have some things, because it's important to know that hosting a Discord server does not have an inherent cost. Discord is free. So closing a free resource is interesting. However, I would assume that the AMG Discord is not 100% free as far as their bottom line, because again, when it comes to moderators, they do have an awful lot of moderators doing their round-the-clock moderation. I think they over-moderated this thing and undersold it. Like, they never really hyped up their Discord server. I don't recall ever really seeing them post about their Discord server outside of maybe the very first time it was ever opened. So I don't think they advertised it and used it and leveraged it as a resource and really tried to get much out of it. And that's probably one of those things where they didn't see a whole lot of return on investment I'm assuming the moderators were paid. That's not stuff that they really go into. If anybody watching here happens to have been a moderator, wants to confirm that, I'm not asking for how much they paid you or anything like that. That's none of my business. But I imagine it had to have been a paid position for as much as they were asking of the moderators. So several Discords use volunteer moderators. My Discord has volunteer moderators. I don't pay them anything. I don't make anything off of it. It's 100% free. There's zero cost to me, although I do have a Discord Nitro sub, but that's optional. I don't have to have that. I could always turn that off and keep the Discord, right? You could but I imagine that's not an option that AMG has, right? I don't think they could have, let the moderators go and continue to maintain the Discord, which is interesting to me that they still maintain certain groups. It's interesting to me that they still have the Facebook groups. Funny story, when Star Wars Shatterpoint came out, they had done, they had set up the Star Wars Shatterpoint Facebook group. I already had a Star Wars Shatterpoint Facebook group that I had set up, and it was starting to get a lot of members. I think within the first couple hours, I had a couple hundred members that had joined for a Star Wars Shatterpoint group, and it was off to a great start. And I was very quickly contacted by Atomic Mass Games, and basically, I don't want to say threatened, but it was like a veiled threat of hey, your group says Star Wars Shatterpoint. That sounds like it's an official group name. We're going to be running the official group name, so you have to change your name to say unofficial, or else, basically. It was one of those, I don't have the exact wording in front of me, but it was something along the lines of, it would be a shame if legal or if Lucasfilm had to get involved and have you shut down or something like that. So it basically threatened me to change the name. And I'll say this, and I was happy to comply. I was, I usually, it was worded kind of nicely at first, although it did have that veiled threat at the end. And so I was still trying to play nice, and I said, certainly, I'm happy to cooperate or whatever. And so I changed it. And the funny thing is, of course, as soon as you change the game to say unofficial, your group, we didn't get any more members after that. It was we started ramping up, and as soon as the name said unofficial Star Wars Shatterpoint, nobody else was interested in joining. It's basically saying, do not join. And of course, then everybody went to the other group. And again, I'm of the mindset that you can have multiple groups. I kind of wish they had taken this same approach with their other communities. I believe I've heard stories that they have done the same thing with Marvel Crisis Protocol and forced growing Marvel Crisis Protocol groups to shut down. I actually am friends with a guy who had one of those groups that AMG kind of put a stop to. It's funny that they were so adamant about, like, it's like, this is this is our community. We're going to make it grow. We care about these games, and we want to, have a space that we can, be the master and commander of, and so on and so forth. Funny thing is, they never did that for Star Wars Armada. And because I have the Star Wars Armada Facebook group, I'm the admin of that group, and they never contacted me at all. I don't believe they've ever done that for Star Wars X-Wing either. Strangely enough, they also haven't done that for Star Wars Legion, because the Star Wars Legion Facebook group is still Star Wars Legion. It's not like the official Atomic Mass Games group or whatever like that. It's still Star Wars Legion. So it does make me wonder, like, why? It's just an interesting thing to me. So it's you could draw your own conclusions to it. It could be that they care more about certain games and want to take more ownership of certain games, especially the ones that they kind of created from the ground up. Or it could be just because of, like, they didn't want to mess with existing Facebook groups. It could be a lot of different things. I don't know, but I've also heard from some people that said that they paid moderators for those Facebook groups and stuff as well. Because, again, if you need round-the-clock moderation for any kind of community setup that you have to have people who are going to work around the clock, and you have to have sufficient moderation to make sure anybody who says some bad stuff about AMG, their comments get deleted, or whatever it is that the moderators do. They have rules and stuff like that, and it's not always as simple as, like, oh, you said something unkind about AMG, it's deleted. It depends on how you word it. You can say very politically correct things like, I expected better, and things like that, but you can't go start cursing at them. And I mean, and that's basic decorum anyway. So that's the deal. They're shutting down the Discord server. No word on any other communities that are getting shut down yet. I don't know if that is going to happen. I'm not sure. Again, they have Discord for multiple games, and maybe out of the pie of costs, this one was significant enough and had small enough interaction, partially because of the moderation, that they never really grew. So this Discord was kind of small, didn't really have much interaction with it. And frankly, a lot of the AMG employees are in a lot of the other community Discords. I know, I've seen Will Schick engage in the Star Wars Legion Discord. I've seen, that's it's probably the only one that I can recall. I've seen them. I think I've seen them post in like there's a popular Marvel Crisis Protocol group, or there's a popular Star Wars Shatterpoint group, and some of those. I think I've seen some postings from there a little bit. So that's a good thing. It does make me kind of also wonder a little bit about why they even set it up in the first place, if they weren't going to really advertise this group. It's an interesting thing. I think you can draw your own conclusions. And it also does kind of go into this, it feeds into the bigger narrative of money's tight. They just Asmodee got saddled with a lot of debt. AMG's trying to cut corners. I don't know if I would say that they're in trouble right now, but there is a lot of little details that on their own don't really mean much, but you can look at them different ways, like tariffs going up and prices having to go up. The core sets that were supposed to be under $100 are now going to have to be over $100. Is that going to change how retailers that were maybe on the fence on if they were going to take another gamble with Star Wars Legion again? There's a lot of little things that are all, that kind of feed into this that make you think that they're really tightening their belt right now. There's also the fact that they had X-Wing and Armada that were steady cash flows incoming that they canceled. A lot of that has to do with licensing. There was licensing problems with X-Wing and Armada. From what I'm told, they actually lost the license for pre-painted miniatures games, which was a whole separate which was a whole separate license. As opposed to just Star Wars miniatures, there was a pre-painted specific license. The license is supposed to expire at the end of this year, so it'll be really interesting come mini extravaganza time if they announce a lot of new stuff or don't announce a whole lot of new stuff and more talk about the things that are already out there, or even if they even continue to have mini extravaganza. There's a lot of things that we're gonna have to wait and see if this ends up being anything more than a simple belt tightening. Because frankly, we already know that they have a lot of debt and a lot of stuff that they have to pay off. And so, you know, I guess we'll see. I'm hoping for a really exciting mini extravaganza, though. But let me know if you think that there's anything more to this than what it is right now. I would hope that it's not a problem with licensing for AMG's sake. I know that kind of blaming licensing for like the removal of Palpatine and Royal Guards for Star Wars Legion probably didn't do them any favors either. You know, and things like that. So like, you know, It'll be really interesting to see what happens at the end of this year. They have like a 3-year cycle for renewals of licenses, and that if you go back to 2020, beginning of 2020 when we had this big when you still had Fantasy Flight with all the games, you know, and they had announced, Asmodee had announced that they just got their, you know, the 3-year renewal for their license, and Lucasfilm was really happy with it. And so you know, from 2020 to 2023, and then or the end of 2022, it comes down to the end of this year. So if Mini Extravaganza is going to be in November, I imagine they'll have some news close to that time. I'm really interested to see what they announce. And we'll talk more about it as it gets closer, but it's going to be really interesting. I hope this doesn't mean that they're having money problems and possible license problems. We'll have to wait and see. It's probably not much, but if it's followed by more bad news, then we'll have to remember this. So, but of course, and that's why I wanted to make a video about it, because you won't be able to look back and find this because the Discord server in which it's posted will be long gone. It may be already gone by the time you watch this video. So let's just see what the future holds for Atomic Mass Games. Hopefully good things. I will talk to you guys later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Wait. We're not over yet. We're announcing the winner to the latest giveaway. So the latest winner of today's winner for the $25 Amazon gift card giveaway is going to be Galagleok. Oh gosh, how do I say it? It sounds Scottish. Galagleok. I'm terrible at pronouncing certain things, but that's okay. I'll do my best. Galagleok. Galagleok. All right. Well, congratulations, Galagleok. Go ahead and shoot me an email at mailcrabbok@gmail.com, and we'll get you squared away. If you did not win, don't worry. We're starting the next giveaway right now, so make sure you're subscribed. Leave a comment on this or one of my videos. Join our Discord. Other social media links are down in the video description below. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. So say we all, and always wash your socks.